Here we go. Best day of the week.
It is. It is. And guess
It's
what,
also
Matt?
new designee day.
It is New Designee Day, and guess what? It is the 100th day until into interest this year. We have 100 days, people, until we'll be there.
That's awesome. We tomorrow we will be out of triple digits. We'll be in spitting distance of 3 months. That's going to be fantastic. And I have vacation coming up in like a week, so I can just kiss a week of that goodbye. I won't even be worried about it too much, but we will find a way for me to come on this show and be live from the beach. Maybe I'll give you some, some nice views in the background. But so anyone who is new to this show, this is How to CPCU. We are put on by volunteers of the CPCU Society. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and retweet. Help get this out there. We have a fantastic guest for you today, and we are going to be talking about what it's like to be a new designee. Do you remember what it's like to be a new designee, Heather?
It's been a minute, Matt, now, but that uneasiness and unsurety of like what in the world it is that I'm getting myself into, I can remember that for sure. That was some butterflies about that.
Well, we are being graced with the presence of a recent new designee, and her name is Michele Ortiz, and she's coming to us from a balmy Florida at the moment. How are you, Michele?
Good, doing great.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. For anyone who doesn't know who you are, just tell us 1 minute. Who are you? What do you do in the insurance industry?
Okay, I am an underwriter and a program manager. I do personal lines and commercial. I have been in the industry for, we'll just say 30 plus years and leave it at that. Mm-hmm. And I am second generation. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so before we talk about your CPCU journey, second generation, was it like a given that you were going to be in the insurance industry, or was that something where it was left up to you?
Actually, I fell into it by chance because when I was looking for my first office job after high school, I put in applications every place. And then the one place that hired me was an insurance agency because I already knew the terminology from going into work with my mom and helping her when I was a teenager. So no, it was not on purpose. I fell into it and then I got stuck. So
good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, where do you want to kick it off, Heather? What is your first question for Michele in terms of her CPCU journey?
My first question for you, Michele, especially since you have a good established career in the insurance industry, what led you to do your CPCU and go through that journey this part of your career?
So backing up, my earliest memories were of my mom sitting at a dining room table studying for her CPCU when it was essay exams only given twice a year. And I can remember watching her as a teenager, even younger than that. I mean, that's my earliest memories, and Dad cooking us awful dinners because she was studying. So once I fell into it and I realized I was going to stay, I knew it was something I wanted to do. But then through chance, I ended up being a single parent with kids, and I had to raise them and take care of them. Mm-hmm. And the opportunity just was never there. And now that they're adults and I got to a place where it's like, okay, I can do this. And where I work offered reimbursement if I passed. I said, okay, it's time to just bite the bullet. Let's do it and get it done. And it was helpful because I already had my AINS, so that took care of one designation. I already had my AUM, that took care of my elective. So that kind of cut off a few things. The biggest decision I had was which track, commercial or personal, because I work in both. So
what'd you choose?
Commercial.
Okay. And any rationale behind that? Did you figure it would be easier or what?
Yes, because I looked at the course topics and I was like, okay, I'll have an easier time with the commercial courses than I will with the personal lines courses.
Okay. Awesome. So how did you feel the process went? Did you have just a straight shot and you went through and you were able to get your 6 or whatever you still had outstanding, or were there bumps along the way?
Well, I took my first test in January. I took my last test in August. I had to retake the beast once. And so I did it all in 8 months just because I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get it done. It's like take one, pass it. So basically it was like one a month, one every 6 weeks, just to get them done. But keeping in mind with my experience in the industry, it wasn't so much learning the material. I kind of knew it. It was refreshing and how the institutes laid it out and that kind of information. I already knew almost everything that was in the books except for the beast. We will leave that one alone.
8 months. How do you feel about that, Heather?
Oh, well, Michele, your journey with CPCU was significantly shorter than mine. Whenever I started my CPCU, probably it was about 8.5 or 9 years before I actually finished it. But it just goes to show you that everyone's journey may be different, and it can be accomplished in a very short period of time, or it can be accomplished over a long period of time, several years. I just saw a post. I know that we have all those CPCU candidate communities and everything on Facebook, and then some LinkedIn, because we're coming up on that. Actually, yesterday was the deadline, I think, to be able to make it to this year's conference and to confer this year. There's people out there that said, it took me 15 years, but I did it. I'm a CPCU. And to me, it's all about what works best for you in your life journey with your career. And that's what makes CPCU awesome, is that it can be flexible that way for you. So I'm assuming you probably took kind of a mixture of tests and everything. Like, was your entire program virtual, or was it all, did you have to go to a testing center to take your test, or what was that like for you?
So I actually earned my designation and was eligible, should have gone to the 2019 Into Risk that got canceled.
Oh. Okay.
So all of my tests were at the testing center. And then because my conferment ceremony and that Into Risk got, COVIDed, we get to come to this one. Although I would much rather have gone to DC because I am an annual pass holder at Disney. So
yeah.
Yes, I'm happy to go to Disney, but I go to Disney a lot.
It's kind of like just another day for you in terms of the destination, right?
Yeah, Disney's a day trip for us. I mean, I'm an hour and a half away. We're annual pass holders. We get up on a Saturday or Sunday, drive down from in the afternoon, and then, we come back that night. So yeah. The destination is not a big deal for me. It's the fact that I get to go, I get to experience Into Risk, I get to actually do the conferment ceremony, and I get to see what this is all about and maybe feel a little more connected. COVID hit right after I'd only made it to one of my local chapter meetings, and then COVID hit. So everything after that has been virtual. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of the people in the chapter because I used to work with them at a prior company, but it's still, you don't get that connected feeling. And I think that's one thing a lot of the new designees are probably feeling the same, is they don't feel as connected because everything has been virtual. And while as virtual is great, it's still, you miss that person, that face-to-face, those individual conversations you could have in an in-person meeting, where when you do them virtually, there's no personal, individual, one-on-one, one-on-two conversations. It's all, okay, you're listening to the speaker and maybe asking the speaker questions, but that's all you really get out of it.
Yeah, most definitely. It's been really tough, and I can't even put myself in the place of someone who was new-ish to the organization. I was lucky enough to have some of those connections that predated that, right? And it sounds like you also have had a unique exposure to this because you did know some of the people that were in the organization. Did you get to do a virtual conferment? Did you get to take the oath and everything like that?
Yes, I did that last year. My mom came over because, of course, she wanted to see it, and so we did do that. He's in my living room.
Did you dress up? Were you in the nines or were you casual?
No, I was casual. I was like, nobody can see me. I'm not dressing up.
Well, that's good. You got to go through at least part of the pomp and circumstance. I'm glad that you're going to get an opportunity to go through, the official process in Florida. Is that what you're looking forward to most, or what else are you looking forward to in terms of Into Risk?
I'm looking forward to those one-on-one, one-on-two conversations and meeting people that I don't know and getting to connect with people outside of my little group, because I have been working virtual now since over a year. And so I don't even go into the office right now. And I'm really looking forward to getting to meet people I don't know, getting to talk to people, and making those connections. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to there.
Networking is definitely one of the highlights of the annual meeting and DeRisk, and to me it's kind of like that hidden secret that a lot of people don't really realize, that there's so much opportunity for connection for people from all over the world, actually, at the conference. I mean, I personally have met people who came all the way from Pakistan and Japan and China and Europe and all of these places, because CPCU truly is an international organization. We don't often see a lot of the people that are outside of the United States, but and then just reconnection. Once you get kind of hooked into DeRisk, I'm going to warn you, Michele, here. Okay, fair warning. When you get hooked into coming to this conference, you can't stop. Okay? You just can't stop, because it's almost like there's this intoxicating factor to it, not alcohol aside. Just the high that you get from being around a group of people who are so like-minded, who can understand your lingo and speak your language all the time, and just those little moments where you get together and have time with people. I value that. So it's like it re-energizes you about the industry every year, and definitely something that I know new designees often kind of feel a little tentative about kind of jumping in with that. But don't hesitate is what my advice to you is. Don't hesitate. Just get out there and start talking to everybody and get to know the people, because there's a wealth of insurance knowledge in all of the professionals that come to the conference.
Yeah, I am a little nervous about going, and I mean, I don't know if anybody I know will be there or not, other than my mom is coming, of course. But I do have that trepidation about, okay, I'm going to be in a room with thousands of people, and I know maybe two.
So I can tell you that there are some people that are like ambassadors of the society, and they will, people will reach out to you. They will, they will make the first step, so to speak. But yeah, to echo what Heather was saying, don't feel like, there are no sacred authorities to bow down to. It's just like, I mean, if you've ever heard Heather's story, I mean, basically one of the gentlemen who was a past president of the society, just kind of struck up a conversation with her out of nowhere at one of the reception events. So there's no you don't have to worry about hierarchy or paying homage or anything like that. So to that effect, you said you don't necessarily know if anyone's going to be there, but did you have a mentor through this process, or do you have a mentor in the industry, or has it always been something where it's just kind of self-driven, where it's you're kind of full steam ahead on your own?
Pretty much self-driven.
Okay. And is that because you're a legacy?
I think some of that, and some of that is throughout my career, I've had the unique experiences. I've worked in an agency, I've worked for a company, and now I work for a broker. So I've kind of done the full breadth and got a nice wide circle of, understanding how it works from start to finish.
Yep.
So, and in those different niches, there were different people because nobody else really followed along that convoluted journey.
Fair enough.
I know, for sure. So what is outside of the networking? Have you kind of taken a look at the schedule for some of the agenda that's out there now, and what piques your interest about some of the topics that are going to be talked about?
I honestly have not looked at the topics yet. Was just excited that I get to go. I was excited that my employer approved it and that they agreed to pay for it. And so it's all right, cool. But I haven't had a chance to really dive into the agenda or anything like that, other than knowing when it starts and and know I got to get my mom a ticket for the conferment ceremony.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. your employer, I'm sorry if I'm making you repeat yourself, but I think you said that your employer already has this in place. Is this kind of like a known like standard reimbursement and stuff like that for the designation and the tests and stuff, or was it something that you kind of had to, talk about a higher up and get qualified for?
No, my the owner is a CPCU, and he heavily promotes it. And so they do have the match for or the reimbursement for designations. And then it does say that, when you get your CPCU, they will pay for you to go to the conferment ceremony as an incentive to get it. So it is pushed where I work, so that they do want as many people as possible to get the CPCU designation. And I want to say probably half of us have it.
Wow. So you're making Matt smile here, because Matt's a broker. Matt's a broker too, and so he's always a big proponent of brokers, because a lot of times some people think, a broker, why would they really need the CPCU? That's an underwriter's designation, or this is just for my claims people might want to know something about it. But
well, that's just because we walk around like cavemen with clubs. And we bonk prospects over the head and drag them in. Like, that's the way that we get business. Like,
okay. Well, I work at a program manager, and we have the pen, so we actually underwrite.
That's a good spot to be in. I was going to ask you, what do you like? Obviously, I'm not asking you to kind of like, throw your current employer under the bus. It sounds like you're very happy, but I mean, like, is that where you're really happiest right now, or? Did you have a really good time at each one of those locations, whether it be broker, carrier, or kind of what you're working on now?
I have enjoyed each place. Each place definitely had its pluses and minuses. I really like where I'm at now. I get to do a wide variety of things, being that I do personal lines and commercial. Mm-hmm. So there's no twiddling thumbs time. Yeah. And it's not, because I switch between personal lines and commercial lines, it's not super repetitive either. I might do a bunch of the same thing for a little while because I'm working personal lines, but then I switch and I go to my commercial lines accounts, and then it's something completely different. And so there's no time to really get bored or, okay, I'm tired of doing this, or, yeah. It's not super repetitive, which I like.
Oh, no, that's good. Keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
Definitely. So was there anything about your CPCU journey, like, you blew through it, by the way, like, that's amazing. Okay, really short period of time. And I've heard of many people who have done it in that manner. Was there anything about the journey that really stuck out to you? I know you said you had a lot of prior experience, so a lot of the material was there, but was there anything that you grasped from that you're like, hey, I know I can use that in the current role that I'm in right now? And because a lot of times some people think, oh, that's just theoretical knowledge. Did it help you, help to kind of push you in a way in your career that, or maybe refreshed a part of what you already knew that really was exciting about the journey for you?
Well, I have to be honest and say no, but in one of my prior careers, I was a training manager, and I used to teach insurance to new hires and teach underwriting to new hires. So a lot of the material I used to teach myself. So, and that's why, even though I did the test in 8 months, I really think my journey started 30 plus years ago when I started the industry and I started learning. Because it's not like I picked up the books and I didn't know it and I had to learn it all to pass the test. I didn't. I knew most of the stuff already. So I really started my journey 30 years ago. And this was just finalizing it and finishing it and doing the paperwork.
Yeah.
You were dunking the ball is basically what you were doing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So what's your exposure to the CPCU society been like in the past? It seems like your credentialing process went fairly smoothly, at least when you sat to take the tests and things like that. But what was always kind of like your perception of the society? Was it something that was kind of like mysterious and you didn't know what was going on behind the doors, or did you have some kind of idea of what was happening at the society level?
So I had no idea about the society before I got my designation. Oh, wow. And even as I was working through the testing, the society was this nebulous thing that I still had no idea what it did or what they were for. It's like, okay, I don't know who they are, whatever. And it wasn't until after I got my designation and I went to the first local chapter meeting and ran into a bunch of prior coworkers who also happened to be, officers, and started connecting. And then they were like, hey, we need someone to take and help us with our new liaison with our new members and our new designees. Come on, you can do that because you know what it's like.
Yeah.
And they just kind of pulled me in. And that's when I started really understanding what the society was and what it did. But I really didn't know anything about it before I went to that first meeting.
Wow.
You hear that, Heather?
Like an opportunity. That is an opportunity. I'm just like, bing, bing, lights, sirens flashing here. That to me tells me that there's work for us to do in the society, because those who are on the CPCU journey, whether it be the, someone like you, Michele, who you have a good established career and you're putting the icing on the cake and wrapping the bow on everything, or somebody who's brand new in the industry. We need to be more public as the society, so that people understand that that's the underpinnings, and kind of like it's the cherry on top of the sundae that comes when you get that CPCU designation, is being a part of this vast network of people who are like-minded to you, who understand the industry like you do, and can help you to broaden your knowledge as you continue your career. So thanks for the challenge there, Michele. That's we definitely have some weight on our shoulders. So,
sorry.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love it. I love the challenge. You see what my t-shirt says? Sounds dangerous.
So tell us a little bit about the role that you were basically voluntold to take at the chapter.
So I reach out to our new designees, and of course it's all virtual right now. Make sure that they've got the information for the monthly meetings. I've reached out and, personally and offered if they had help. When we got the email about the into risk, I reached out to everyone and was like, hey, look, did you get this? Oh, by the way, I get to go with you. I'm super excited. Hey, maybe we can catch up and do something when we're there. One of the new designees is about 2.5 hours away because we've got a big chapter. And so I was, when I talked to him, he's like, is there anybody here close to me? And I was like, I know there is. I don't know their contact information, but let me get with the president and we'll get you connected with some local folks. So I was able to help him do that. And so it's just kind of right now I'm trying to keep them in the loop and keep them feeling connected because everything is still virtual. And it's hard to be connected to new folks virtually.
Yeah, most definitely. Do you guys have any events coming up? Are you beginning to kind of breach that, in-person versus virtual world, or is that still in the works?
No, we are trying to come to, we're tentatively planning some sort of in-person get-together informal event for August, September timeframe, and it's in the planning processes.
Awesome. That'd be fantastic, especially leading up into risk, because that way you would, if there are people from your chapter that are going to risk, you would be able to kind of build that, face-to-face relationship leading up to the actual larger event. And then, when I teach people brand new to networking, like young kids mostly, I always talk about the way you work a room is you just need one person, and that one person then becomes home base, right? So you go to home base, and then you branch out, you shake someone's hand, and what's great is then you can bring the new person back to home base and be like, hey, this is Dave, I met Dave, and introducing the other person, and now you're brokering relationships, and so it's you just need that one person. So that's great timing leading up to Into Risk, and I think it's really timely, and hopefully the chapters throughout the country are able to do some of that too, so that their chapters can kind of get that personal feel before everyone shows up to Into Risk. What are your thoughts on kind of like the hybrid approach to the meeting? Have you kind of like looked at that? I mean, was that even a thought, or because it was so close, you were just like, I'm going in person?
Because it's so close, I was like, I'm going to go in person. I tried to do the online interviews last year, and I was like, yeah, no, this just isn't working for me.
Not your thing.
Yeah, I was like, no. Even the online conferment ceremony, I mean, even like when he was trying to do the oath, he didn't even stop, and there was no stopping for us to repeat after him or anything. He just kept going and going and going because he couldn't see any of us. So yeah, no, there was no thought of doing the hybrid. I was like, no, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it in person.
I think we're going to be partying with Michele, Heather.
I definitely think so too. Matt and I have definitely been looking forward to the opportunity that we're going to have to be able to reconnect in person with people, because it's been since New Orleans that we have all been around each other and been able to reconnect with that group that, you know, gets me energized for another year. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was super bummed when DC got canceled. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm like 4 hours away. I would have just been able to road trip it, bring my family and everything like that. But yeah, are you gonna commute each day the hour and a half, or are you gonna stay local?
No, I actually have a room in the hotel, and my mom's coming down. She's probably going to play at Designee every day except for the very last day. But I've tried telling her, it's like, hey, you're eligible, you're CPCU, you can come. Yeah. But I don't think she wants to pay the fees.
That's a good point. So is your mom retired and not in the industry anymore, or
yes, she's retired.
Oh,
no, she's retired.
Is she a retired member of the society, or she's pretty much not really been active recently?
I don't know if she was ever in the society or not, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. She may have been. I don't know. I mean, I know she went to her conferment ceremony because it was in Hollywood. She got to go to Disneyland during hers, which is kind of interesting. Is she got to go to Disneyland and I'm going to Disney World. So
yeah. There's a certain level of synchronicity there. I like that.
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead, Heather. It looks like you got something.
No, I was going to say, well, being a new designee, and you're also kind of like a chair of the new designees with your chapter and everything as well. What advice do you have for those who are still on that CPCU journey and trying to get there? Those candidates who are working through it, because I know that it's a struggle a lot of times for people to finish the designation. And so what advice do you have, being someone who recently completed, and how it can be done?
Don't give up. Be stubborn. If you fail a test, and I failed the beast. Just take that as a learning opportunity. Wait till you get your results back. Look at where you need to study, and then go take it again. And I would say, when I retook it within a week. It's like, I don't want to forget what I've already studied. I just want to bone up where I needed to, and let's go retake it.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how well you passed it. All that matters is that you passed it. If you barely passed it, it doesn't matter. You just passed it. So don't stress over the grades. And I will say there was, in the finance one, there was one chapter on surety bonds that I knew I was never going to remember that. And I just, I looked at it, and I said, you know what? I'm not even going to try to study this chapter because I'm not going to retain it. I'm going to make sure I know the other chapters really well, that I can just give those points away and not stress myself over something that makes no sense to me.
Yep.
And that worked.
Good stuff. Well, Michele, I feel your pain. I failed the beast the first time I took it too. And it was truly because of, I had not applied myself in the way that I needed to. But the next time around, and I took it within 2 weeks after failing it, because I was like, I'm going to deep dive, immerse myself in understanding this in the next 2 weeks, and passed it with flying colors the next time around, and I don't know if it was just the set of questions that I got that time or what happened with it, but it was that's one of those that I always say, and there's a saying, You're either a 5:30 person or you're a 5:40 person. And if
Yeah.
you say that you slayed the beast, then you're probably a 5:30 person. Because slaying the beast is a really tough mountain to climb.
Yeah.
But and I think sometimes you just need to see the questions. I mean, I like, and I'll be honest with you. When the first time I went in to take that one, I knew I was going to fail that going in. I knew it. I had studied, but I knew it. I knew that, okay, I'm not going to get this, but I need to see the way the test is laid out. I need to see the way it's worded, and I need to see where I need to study. The practice tests are great, but they're still not it. And I mean, I was hoping I would pass, but I knew I wouldn't. I even told the testing ladies when I went in, because they got to know me by the end of the year. And I went in saying, yeah, I'm not passing this one. You guys are going to see me again. I know it.
Yeah. So if you had to give one critique of the designation process and the materials and everything like that, is it just the practice exams? Was that really kind of like what you think might have been able to be improved, or was there some other part of the process that maybe could have been a little bit better?
I don't. It's the practice exams. They are not. I mean, I know they can't be the questions on the test. I realize that, but they could be. It could be laid out more similar to the test, because you can do the practice exams and make 100% on every chapter, and go into that test and be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
And there was one question, I forget which test it was on, and I read that question and I went, "What the heck? That wasn't even in the book."
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I can remember that from my time taking the exams, where the test questions and the practice exams, they just have like, I don't even know how to put it. They have like a different like almost like structure, or a different like tempo, or just kind of tenor to them, whereas the actual exam questions, you think it's like a different language because how they ask the questions is done differently. So yeah, no, that's really good feedback, because I've always been one of those people who, like you said, like I'll judge how I'm going to do based off of, if I take a couple of practice exams and I'm getting 80s or 90s, I'm pretty certain I'm going to pass. But that's kind of a toss up on these sometimes because of that differential.
Well, and I think one thing is, on the real test, there's two answers for almost every question. There's going to be at least two answers that could be right.
Yeah.
And if you don't really know, you could easily pick the wrong. But on the practice exams, you don't have that. You don't have the two that could be right. The practice exams, it's a little more obvious which is your right question. So it doesn't prepare you to really be confident and really to read every word, because the practice exams are not near as almost trickily worded. I mean, you've got to read every word in that question and every word in the answers on the real exam, and you don't have to do that on the practice exams.
Yeah, most definitely.
That's definitely, I know my experience with it. I always went in and knew immediately I can eliminate two of these answers immediately, because I did mine all through testing centers and everything as well. And but the very different experience for everybody who started the CPCU journey right now after COVID was all these virtual exams that they're taking. And so I'll be super interested. I think we're having a guest in a few weeks as well to kind of maybe compare your experiences that you had, because I believe she did some virtual exams for hers as well. And so it's a different journey. The content is not any simpler. It's not better, but the comfort level, I think, because I always had that anxiety going into the test center, until I got to know the people too as well, because I was pushing it to try to make it to Hawaii in 2016. I got to know them really well. But that anxiety of walking in there to this little room, and you got your cubicle, and everybody else is banging on these keyboards around you, and they give you headphones to put on to try to shut out the noise, and it's just like, oh. But that's very different when you're sitting in front of your own computer at home, You could take the test at 3 o'clock in the morning if you happen to be a 3 o'clock in the morning person. So there's some benefits and there's some disadvantages to that as well. I heard the timing on the test is a little bit shorter now too than the timing that they allowed in the testing centers. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't taken a virtual. In fact, that's why I was put off going for my next designation. It's just because I didn't want to deal with virtual testing. So it's like, okay, I'll just wait.
That's interesting. My follow up was going to be, we hear from a lot of the more experienced CPCUs. I'll put it that way. That they went through the essay answer, like long handwritten exam answers, as opposed to multiple choice. If you had your choice, would you prefer at least some essay where you kind of have to work out your logic, or are you more than comfortable with kind of like that multiple choice, or what some people will call multiple guess kind of format?
Well, when I took my agent's exam here in Florida, tons and tons of years ago, it was essay, and that has now switched to multiple choice.
Yeah.
And I find myself extremely jealous that people take it now and they know immediately if they pass or fail. When it was an essay, I had to wait 2 weeks to find out.
That's a good point.
So I like that it's multiple choice, because now you may have fear in your heart and you're holding your breath when you press that submit button, because that submit button is like death.
Yeah.
But after you press it, you're going to find out right then, pass or fail. And there's not that 2 weeks of anxiety while you're waiting for someone to read your answers and grade it. So while I do appreciate an essay, because sometimes you can get partial credits, I do like the immediacy of multiple choice and knowing immediately and not having the 2 weeks of anxiety.
Yeah. And then also they always had those surveys that they would give you after the test.
And before they gave you the results.
Yeah, and before they gave you the results. And I would sit there and be going, I don't want to answer this survey. I just typing stuff in, get me through this so I can know if I get a P or an F.
Yes, because you work up all of all the nerve you've got to hit that submit button, and then it says survey, and you're like, no, give me the result.
Give me the result. Now.
All right. Let's talk about some feel-good stuff now. Some really feel-good stuff. I mean, obviously, completing your CPCU and being a new designee and everything it's fantastic. It's awesome. It is for most people within the insurance industry, it is a career level achievement. But let's talk about the venue and Orlando and stuff like that. So you are a seasoned Disney World person. I think most of us, when we first heard Orlando, we said bar hopping at Epcot. That was the first thing that we were thinking about. Which gives people, if you're a non-insurance person and you're watching this, gives you some kind of insight into the types of individuals that are in the insurance industry. But bar hopping aside, what are kind of your favorite little corners within the world of Disney, or any of the other ancillary places that are around the Orlando area?
So my absolute favorite place to go at Disney, because we are annual pass holders, and so we do get to go a lot, is Olga's Cantina in Hollywood Studios. It's in the Star Wars land.
Okay.
So it's made like you've been transported to one of the Star Wars worlds, and it's set up like the bar scenes. They have a bar scene in every Star Wars movie. It's like you've walked in there, and it's got the robots, and you've got the weird food and the weird drinks and the funky music, and that place is awesome. And they limit you to 45 minutes, and then you have to get out and somebody else gets your table.
Yeah. Speak of not to cut you off, but speak of someone whose ears are ringing, because we talked about him earlier. Mike Castellani, one of the past presidents of the entire society, is also a regular viewer, so we thank him for that. But he says, congratulations, Michele, on your new designation. And he is actually one of the people that Heather talks about in terms of getting her involved in the society, and kind of who tapped her on the shoulder while she was at the annual meeting after she got her designation. So,
well, thank you, Michael.
Yeah. In addition to Olga's Cantina, What are your other favorite haunts that are there in the Disney World?
Oh wow. If you get to go to Animal Kingdom, you definitely want to go into Avatar Land. That Flight of Passage is my favorite ride ever, anywhere, top all, bar none. It is awesome.
Okay.
Flight of Passage is a must do if you if you get to Animal Kingdom, you got to do Flight of Passage. Just got to.
Awesome.
Got to. It is probably the only ride I would wait an hour for. Because you got, as an annual pass holder, we have a different mindset. If I go on the rides, the line's more than 20 minutes, I'm like, no big deal. I'll catch it next time. I don't care.
Yeah.
So we have a whole different mindset to waiting in line. I would wait in line for Flight of Passage regardless of the time. It is awesome.
That's good to know. It's good to know. This is like an all Florida episode. Which, by the way, Mike K is also in Florida as well. I forget exactly where, but no, you don't need to call a lawyer, Mike. You're all right. We didn't slander you. Call off the lawsuit. But a Tampa resident, Abby Clow, is also logging in here saying, looking forward to meeting you in Orlando, Michelle. Join us for some interest group fun while you're in Orlando. Abby is associated with the hooligans of the CPCU Society, also known as the 3IG or the International Insurance Group. So, and they are known for rowdy parties, or I'm sorry, we don't call them parties. We call them networking functions. They are rowdy, but they are fun. And I heard something about hooligans equals fun. I heard something about karaoke as well. So there might be something along that line. And Mike wanted to clarify that Sarasota is where he is at in Florida. So this is going to be like a mostly Florida crew, I'm getting the sense of.
Well, it's so close for us, Yeah.
So, look, what else you got, Heather? I'm like, this has been fantastic.
I think it's great. And Michelle, I know that a lot of us are going to want to find you because you have a unique experience coming into CPCU, but you're also a Florida resident. You're a Disney season pass holder, so you're going to be able to let us know what we need to do, because I've been to Orlando multiple times, but I never took my kids to Disney. They always wanted to go to Universal. So me and my husband's first experience, because my kids are grown now and they're probably really angry at me right now whenever I say that we're going to Disney, but they always wanted to go to Universal Studios because they are big roller coaster fans. And they want the crazy wild rides and everything, and so we would take them there in lieu of going to Disney. So this is our first experience coming to Disney World, which is going to be exciting.
This may be blasphemy, but I enjoy Disney a lot more now that I'm not taking little children than I did when I used to have to take my kids.
Yeah.
Because when you go as with just adults, you go at your pace. You're not running from place to place to place just to get the rides. If you want to stop and have a drink, if you want to go into a store, if you want to, you do what you want, and it's a lot less stressful with no kids.
Understand.
I have 3. I'm pretty sure you're right. What is your favorite restaurant? It doesn't necessarily have to be in Disney, but what's your favorite restaurant to eat at in the Orlando area?
Yak and Yeti, and it is in Animal Kingdom.
Okay. Yeah. And what's your favorite part about that? Do they have like exotic fare or?
It's so it is Asian cuisine. It's a mixture of different types of Asian cuisine. Mm-hmm. It is just so good. It is awesome. And if you happen to be a Landry's VIP member, you don't have to wait. You just flash your card and they get you a table right away. So you don't have the long wait. You don't have to get a reservation. They just seat you. So yeah, that's my favorite restaurant there. And the next would be T-Rex in downtown Disney.
Okay.
But T-Rex is really loud.
Is there an animatronic T-Rex? Is that why?
It's dinosaur themed. So if you've
Okay.
have you ever heard of the Rainforest Cafe, where it's like you're in the rainforest? Okay,
Yeah.
T-Rex is the same owners, the same theme, except for you're in dinosaur land.
Okay.
And there's they have the meteor shower every 20 minutes. They've got dinosaurs, animatronic dinosaurs all over the place. There's an ice cave room. There's a lava room. So yeah,
So if I recall, downtown Disney is kind of like that, almost kind of like Pier Boardwalky kind of strip kind of area, right? Like Cirque du Soleil
it
has
used to be.
a
It's
thing
much
there.
bigger now.
Okay, so it's like a big walking mall, right? I mean,
Yes.
I think I ate at Wolfgang Puck's there when I was there the last time. So the last time I was there, little aside story, the first night that we got there, we went to downtown Disney because we stayed at I even forget the name of the resort, but the resort that's like Mardi Gras themed. You could just hop on the boat and go to downtown Disney. So we got checked in the room, hop on the boat, go to downtown Disney with the kids. We're in Wolfgang Puck's, and like a monsoon hits. And the way that it was set up, there was still lots of construction going on there at the time, so they hadn't worked out where all the water and stuff goes. So the main strip of walkway is now like the Amazon. I mean, it is like hard rushing water. And my wife and I are like, all right, well, what do we do? Like, do we just sit here and wait for an hour or whatever? I'm like, well, it is Florida, so, these things come and go. But no, it didn't relent at all. So here we are the first night running from one end of downtown Disney to get to the buses, just soaked. The bricks were wet. I almost did like a full split, and I don't do yoga, so that would have been a bad situation. And we're just running for the buses, and just everyone sitting in these air-conditioned buses, miserable because everyone is soaked, like getting back to the place. But it was a fun story. Like I can remember that. I'll remember that till the day I die. I think it was absolutely fantastic. But downtown's a fun spot. It's like all kinds of. There's also like there's like a Lego store there, and there's all kinds of stuff, right? I think that's a fun area. So
yeah, they've got all kinds of shopping. They've got all kinds of restaurants. They've got all kinds of night activities, nightclubs, I want to say. So yes, there's a bowling alley there. There's a huge theater there. So there's a ton to do in downtown Disney by itself.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, look, unless you have any final thoughts, Heather, I want to say thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you taking some time to kind of share your story with everyone, that hopefully they got a lot out of it, and this inspires some people to get their designation or finish their designation if they're still working on it. But yeah, no, this was absolutely fantastic. So any parting thoughts from yourself in terms of your CPCU or your involvement in the society?
Be stubborn, stick to it. You can do it.
All right.
I love that. I'm good at stubborn. Are you good at stubborn, Heather? I'm good at stubborn.
I am very good at stubborn. Look at this hair.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, most definitely. So I want to recommend everyone. Can people connect to you on LinkedIn? So if they look up Michele Ortiz on LinkedIn, all right, awesome.
Yep.
So if you look up Michele Ortiz on LinkedIn, 1 L in Michelle, and connect with her. And if you're a CPCU, please connect with her ahead of time so that when you're in Orlando, you guys can hang out. And I'm already getting the sense that Michelle is not a wallflower. This is going to be this will be fun. So next week we are back. We have remind me again, Heather, who do we have lined up for next week?
Ryan Reek is coming on. Our
we
good
got
buddy.
Ryan. He is he's a character. I'll tell you that much right now. He works in IT, so he's got some good stories that we don't always get because we're typically talking to brokers and underwriters and stuff. So he's an IT guy. So we will be back next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. with Ryan. And I want to thank both of you, and everyone have a very good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.